Rob Reiner, the man who taught America how to laugh, love, and argue. There are filmmakers who chase spectacle. There are filmmakers who chase awards. And then there are filmmakers who chase people, their humor, their contradictions, their arguments, their love stories, and their flaws. Rob Reiner belonged to that last group. When Robert Reiner passed away on December 14, 2025, at the age of 78, America didn't just lose a filmmaker. It lost a storyteller who understood something essential about the country, that laughter and disagreement, romance and outrage, could exist side by side, sometimes in the very same sentence. Reiner never tried to be mysterious. He never tried to be untouchable. Instead, he stood in plain sight, directing classics, arguing loudly, and believing deeply that stories could still change minds. This is the story of Rob Reiner, the man who helped define modern American film, comedy, and political conversation. Born into the punchline, Rob Reiner was born on March 6, 1947 in New York City, into a home where comedy wasn't a dream. It was a profession. His father, Carl Reiner, was already a legend in the making, a writer, actor, and creator whose work would shape television comedy for decades. The Reiner household was filled with scripts, punchlines, rehearsals, and debates about timing. Comedy wasn't treated as something sacred. It was treated as work. Young Rob learned early that humor wasn't just about being funny, it was about truth. The best jokes his father taught him revealed something uncomfortable underneath. Still, Rob didn't want to be Carl Reiner's son. He wanted his own voice. He studied film at UCLA, absorbing cinema from every angle, not just comedy, but drama, character, pacing, and silence. He learned that sometimes the most powerful moment in a scene isn't the joke, it's the pause after it. America Meets Meathead, Rob Reiner's first lasting imprint on American culture didn't come from behind the camera. It came from Archie Bunker's living room. In 1971, Reiner was cast as Michael Meathead Stivic on All in the Family, the outspoken liberal son-in-law who clashed constantly with Archie's conservative worldview. What could have been a caricature became something sharper. Reiner played Meathead not as a smug villain, but as a flawed idealist. He argued loudly, interrupted often, and believed deeply that he was right even when he wasn't. And America watched. Night after night, millions saw political arguments play out in a sitcom. Raw, funny, uncomfortable, and strangely intimate. Reiner became a lightning rod, praised and criticized in equal measure. But he understood something crucial. Conversation matters, even when it's messy. The show changed television forever, proving that comedy could tackle politics without losing its heart. Yet behind the scenes, Reiner was already preparing his next act. The director emerges. When Rob Reiner stepped behind the camera in the 1980s, few expected what would come next. One classic? Maybe. Instead, Reiner delivered a run of films so strong it redefined American storytelling. This is Spinal Tap, 1984. A mockumentary so convincing people thought it was real. The Sure Thing Stand By Me, a coming-of-age story about friendship and Lost the Princess Bride, a fairy tale that mocked fairy tales while becoming one. When Harry Met Sally, a romantic comedy that rewrote the genre. Misery, a psychological thriller that terrified audiences. A Few Good Men, a courtroom drama that became cultural shorthand. Each film felt different, yet all of them shared one thing: humanity. Reiner didn't direct down to audiences. He trusted them. He trusted that humor could coexist with pain, that romance could include cynicism, and that villains didn't always look like villains. He wasn't flashy. He was precise. Actors loved him because he listened. Writers trusted him because he protected story above ego. For a time, Rob Reiner was Hollywood's most reliable storyteller. Belief as identity. Rob Reiner never separated art from belief. As his career matured, his political activism became louder, clearer, and unapologetic. He became a prominent liberal voice, advocating for civil rights, democratic norms, and constitutional accountability. To some, he was courageous. To others, he was exhausting. Reiner didn't care. He believed silence was complicity. He founded organizations, funded campaigns, and spoke publicly with the same conviction he once brought to sitcom arguments. Critics accused him of alienating audiences. Reiner responded with the same logic he'd always used. Conversation is better than comfort. He understood the cost of taking sides, but he also understood the cost of staying quiet. In a polarized America, Rob Reiner became a symbol not just of liberal politics, but of engaged citizenship. Success, setbacks, and self-awareness. Not every chapter of Reiner's career was triumphant. Some films stumbled. Some messages felt heavy-handed. Some audiences turned away. And Rob Reiner acknowledged it. He never pretended to be infallible. In interviews, he spoke openly about missteps, about learning when to push and when to pull back. He admitted that passion sometimes outran persuasion. But even his critics recognized something rare: consistency. Reiner didn't reinvent himself to stay popular. He didn't soften his beliefs to chase relevance. He stayed who he was, a storyteller who believed culture mattered. The final act. As the years passed, Rob Reiner became something more than a director. He became a reference point. Young filmmakers studied his films. Writers borrowed his rhythms. Actors referenced his trust. He appeared occasionally on screen, more as himself than as a character, a familiar presence reminding audiences of another era of Hollywood, when storytelling came before algorithms. On December 14, 2025, Rob Reiner passed away. The tributes were immediate, from actors, directors, comedians, activists, and fans. They spoke not just of his movies, but of his clarity. Rob Reiner knew who he was, and he never apologized for it. What he leaves behind. Rob Reiner leaves behind more than films. He leaves behind conversations, arguments that mattered, laughs that lasted, stories that understood people weren't simple and didn't need to be. From All in the Family to The Princess Bride, from romantic comedies to political activism, Reiner's work reminds us of something essential. Rob Reiner didn't just entertain America. He challenged it, loved it, argued with it, and in doing so helped it understand itself just a little better.